Hello there, my friends, and welcome back to the Hybrid Lab. This is our team Atlanta HYROX recap podcast. So we just got back. I got back Monday. I guess everyone else got back Saturday night and Sunday from Atlanta HYROX this weekend. And it was a super, super, super fun weekend filled with so many races. I think I walked more steps than I ran steps in the race between cheering for everyone from either the TLM Corblin collaboration team. If you guys want more context on that, we cover that in the podcast previewing ATL and like why we were all at Georgia and what that meant and all of that stuff. But we had a ton of people racing this weekend that we were running around between Corblin members, TLM clients, friends that I knew from living in Georgia. So it was a very, very exciting weekend. But as highly requested, you guys want to know how the weekend went, the deets, the beta tips we have for you for training and competing and performing based off how our weekends went. And to kick it all off, we're going to pass it first to Noah the Tank Groover. Noah had an astonishing weekend, which Noah is a strong racer. He always has good races, but I haven't really trained with Noah in a long time. So to see him race again made me realize how disgusting it is to watch Noah exercise, but he leans into it and him and his buddy crushed. They have some big, exciting races coming up this summer. So we'll chat with Noah and then Corey will take it from there and kind of recap how the weekend went for everyone else in the team. And then me and Carly will tell you about our doubles. And we'll give you a little bit of a sneak preview of our plans for training and going to New York and all that here. So to kick it all off, Noah, just let them know how much better than all of us you are.
Yes, that is true. Yeah, Nick and I did well. We pretty much did exactly what we were hoping for. It was a fun course. I really appreciated the outline of like how it was pretty much consistent laps every single run. Sometimes it can get pretty confusing. I'm like, all right, is this 3 or is it 2? Is it the first one's 3, the second one's 2? But this one was pretty consistent. Going into it, we were hoping to average between like a 4:05 and a 4:10 kilometer pace. Our average ended up being based on only the runs. So who knows if they were like exactly a kilometer or whatnot, but the average running lap per 1K was a 3:57. In mile time, I have no idea what that is. Corey, do you have any idea what that is? About a 4-minute kilometer pace.
Yeah.
Either way, we shattered our expectation on the run. The events went as well as we thought they would. The events actually probably went better, but we did have to adjust our strategy throughout. The ski went great. The sled push went better than we thought, but on all of the events after the ski, I started finishing all of them. And that really hurt for all of the runs. It hurt so badly. And that was something that I wasn't expecting. To be honest, Nick did way better than I thought he was going to do. Nick, I've been saying this a few times, but legitimately, Nick was my partner for those who don't know. But Nick did better than I've ever seen him do in any workout ever. In training and competition, I've worked out with Nick hundreds of times, and almost definitively, this is the best performance I've ever seen from him. Our strategy was, at first, it was going to be me try to start and finish as many events as possible, but it ended up to where coming off of the events into the run and into the next event, by the time we started the next event, I was obliterated and I needed some time so that Nick would go so that I could then finish the event again. I think that strategy, the strategy we had would work normally if the two racers are not as of comparable fitness levels as Nick and I are. I think what we were planning on doing works if I was in significantly better preparedness than Nick was for the race, but that wasn't true. Nick came in and showed that he was like ready to freaking go. So we will probably alter our strategy for Worlds in Chicago in June, so that Nick doesn't necessarily have to start every event, and I'm not just obliterated going into every run. Because Nick is like at least as good of a runner as I am. I'm probably better at all of the events outside of Farmers Carry, but Nick is at least as good, if not better, of a runner than I am. And so I was only made worse on the runs by finishing all of the events. Um, we are signed up for Worlds. We qualified. We won. We got first. Our finishing time was 59 minutes and 4 seconds. We're signed up for Worlds as a doubles partner or as a doubles, and then I'm signed up for solo. Solo is on Friday, June 13th, I think, and then duo is Sunday, June 15th. Um, Still haven't decided if I'm confirmed going to do both of them. Uh, I really like training with Nick. He's a good friend, and I don't want to be not at my best for our race, which it's hard to imagine that I would be at my best if I also competed as a solo on Friday. But also, I really want to compete as a solo on Friday. My solo race in Dallas last year was fine, but I think I can like smash my time, and I would really like the opportunity to do so at the biggest stage with the fittest people possible. So I don't know yet. We'll see.
So, building on that, then, which it was funny to talk to you after, and you mentioned that you had a rough day, because I just thought that was just you dialed in. Which, if anyone's trained with Noah, knows what he looks like dialed in. Because you looked like you were just in focus mode, but now I think it makes more sense seeing your face on the runs that you were actually hurting pretty bad. But with that in mind, I guess, Worlds is big, right? Like Noah, Mo, Val, like I would say they're probably the best TLM core blend or TLM adjacent people that we associate with. And that's pretty big deal for everyone, listening to this doesn't really understand HYROX is Worlds is kind of where like you qualify from placing in either your age group or overall at the events, and the World slots are limited, independent. Like it's different every race, right? Like if you place or don't place and how many spots there were. So for Noah to qualify for both is a big, big deal. But with that being said, that's just because Noah is like one of the better of the best out there, which is awesome. Jake's going to Worlds too, right? For 20 to 29 as well.
Yeah, 16 to 24, I think.
16 to 24. Jake's a little baby. That's right. She's 16 to 24.
Yeah.
So Jake will be there as well. But with that in mind, I know that you haven't decided if you're going to do solo or both. That's a hard decision, right? You could do both. You could do one. You could do neither. I don't think you're going to do neither. But what are you going? Because you have about 6 weeks, right, into Worlds,
Yep.
and that's a big training cycle. Like you can actually accumulate some improvements in that period of time. It's not like you're going in it in a couple weeks. So what are you going to change then? Do you think going into Worlds right now? Not knowing which Worlds event you're going to do, or if you do both, but like coming off this weekend, like how are you going to adjust your training?
Yeah, so to be honest, I don't think I'm going to change it that much. It's more going to be a continuation of what I've been doing,
Okay.
partially because Corey and I went over what my training plan should be post Dallas in November, and it was to prepare for Atlanta with Nick.
Okay.
Partially because my strength going into or coming out of Dallas really is my aerobic base. I'm really good at maintaining a really high percentage of my output for a really long period of time, but I'm not as good at the doubles portion, which requires a higher output. It's more cyclical, whereas I can maintain a high percentage for a long time. So I'm a better solo racer than I am a doubles racer. And so I think what would help me, my weakest link is my maximum output, which I think is better trained when trying to prepare for a doubles race. So I'm still going to train for the next 6 weeks like I'm preparing for a doubles,
Yeah.
because I think that's what, at the end of the day, will still improve my overall ability to do a solo or a doubles, since it is my weakest link right now, and I'm only going to perform as well as my weakest link.
What was your Dallas time?
1:10:59.
Okay. And I'm curious. I'm just curious, and I'm sure the listeners will love to hear. What does your week of training look like right now, Noah?
My week of training. Let me pull it up.
Okay. I'm more so nosy curious about this more than anything, because I feel like this is a very different style of training than like when I was at the gym. You know what I mean? Like you were still doing a lot of Olympic weightlifting then and transitioning out of that
Yeah.
competitively. So I'm more so nosy, but I'm sure the listeners would benefit from this as well.
Yeah, for sure. So I switched around my training so that I train on the weekends now, but I do Monday is an off day. Tuesday is intervals and a full body lift. I'm going off of memory right here. I'm trying to pull it up. Once I write my training, I wipe it from my brain.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Monday is rest day. Tuesday is intervals. Wednesday is erg work and upper body lifting. Thursday is a compromised run, so it's some really crappy run. The running portion, not necessarily for a specific time or distance, but mainly just to get fatigued volume in. Friday's FYF. Saturday is a full body lift and an easy run. Oh, I'm sorry. Friday's FYF. Saturday is a full body lift, and then Sunday is a long run.
Okay. Actually, that's
Yeah.
pretty
So
similar. That's pretty similar to what I'm doing right now, but just a little bit organized. The joke this weekend is that I just stopped training with Noah abruptly. I just like phased out of training with Noah. It wasn't really intentional. It just kind of happened, but I like that I still have that sprinkle of Noah still in my brain and programming. That's probably very similar to what I'm doing. How many miles a week are you running right now?
right now it'll be between 20 and 30.
Okay.
And then post competition, it'll ramp back up. My mileage isn't particularly high right now. The closer I get to competition, it doesn't really get that high. It spikes more like post in the
Yeah.
off season, so to speak.
Yeah. No. And I mean, I think well with HYROX too, because you're balancing out the mileage volume with the erg work and the HYROXy stuff too. And there's only so much hours in a week. I know you can handle a lot of training volume, knowing your sessions are pretty long and intense, but I mean, we've covered that. I think I've covered that somewhere for you guys listening, covered how I was doing high volume, easy running last year. And I think that's a big reason I've been able to do low volume, high intensity, which is very Trevor's approach too. But like Noah had a base going into that. That's what I did too. Just for you guys listening, I think that's good context there as well. Not that 30 miles a week is nothing, right? Like that's probably roughly 20 to 30 is I think probably what our whole team is doing right now on tops of HYROX with 2 to 3 lifts a week. I think across the board is where most of us are at overall. But it's helpful to hear what you're doing and just
Yeah.
see.
I would like it to get to a point where I'm maintaining 30 miles pretty much as a minimum, even going
Mm-hmm.
into a competition. I want to be able to maintain that all year round, so that it's the intensity at which I'm training is what I can manipulate the most at that point.
What's
I
your
don't have to
longest
pull
long?
back.
Sorry.
You good?
What's your longest long run?
Half marathon.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Just kind of curious. For the pivot, we'll talk about this guys later, is the whole Corbin team of coaches is training for their first 50K the week before we all do Richmond marathon and half marathon. So you'll get a lot of endurance content later on. So just like hit subscribe on YouTube or the podcast to learn more about that. I think it'll be really fun, Noah, to specifically watch you transition to that ultra mode. I think you're going to know, not that everyone else is going to do well, but you have, I think, a secret really, really, really big base. It will be really exciting to see that. But we won't get ahead of that. We got worlds first. But
Yeah.
I think that will be fun for you to see what you do under volume. Because me and Carly are talking about this a lot this weekend, and clients, if you're listening, this is kind of an at you guys. Like, you accumulate a lot more fitness if you have an extended period of time at a higher volume than if you just like ramp it up shortly. Like, that's a principle of fitness that I think a lot of people could take away from these kind of nuggets, these conversations, is that's really huge. So awesome. If you were leaning towards one right now, Noah, for Worlds, do you think you'll do doubles over solo?
Um, I will definitely do doubles. It's a matter of
Okay.
if I do doubles and solo. I'm
Okay.
not only going to do solo. So really the only two options are doubles only or doubles and solo.
Okay. Yeah. It sounded like doubles was your main priority. That's why I framed it that way. I didn't want to like force you into a spot on that.
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny because it really wasn't. It wasn't my priority until this weekend.
Okay.
We were kind of using Atlanta as a training block to get me ready for Worlds. In fact, Corey, Nick, and I have a group message called Chicago 2025, and it was exclusively so that Nick could be my training partner to prepare me for Chicago. And
Okay.
then Nick and I ended up qualifying ourselves. And now it's like, well, shoot, man. All right, well, now we got to do that.
Did you guys win outright this one, or did you just get first in your age group?
First in our age group.
Okay. Well, awesome. Well, Noah,
I have a
good problem to have. Go ahead, Dani.
Yeah, right. First by success.
Yeah.
Well, I have two questions because I creepily would just watched you guys from my screen. So what was the lap breakdown? Because all of your first laps, your first runs were hot as all get out. Like, I think you girls were like a 3 something, and Noah, I think you were also like maybe even a sub 3.
Yeah, I think we were like a 2:30 or something on the first lap. The first lap was shorter. The start line was closer to the end gate, so to speak, or it was on the other side of the end gate, and so it ended up being like 250 meters shorter, something like that. Corey, Alyssa, Carly, do y'all remember?
I just remember looking at it and I was like, because I was explaining all of this to my husband as I'm like watching from my phone, and I was like, they're all coming out way hot, and then I was like, I think it's the shorter,
because in DC the start gate was in between the in and the out banner. So for those listening who have done a HYROX, you have an in banner and an out banner, and that's basically where you go in to do the stations and then you come out to do the running, and the running is around all the stations, and in between you have to run. It's called the rock zone, but it's not counted towards your like lap mileage, so to speak. It's just like extra running that you're doing, and you have to either pass the in gate. Like, I don't think has there ever been a race where there's only one loop? Is that a thing? Berlin. Okay, so it's like 1, 2, maybe 3, I don't know, maybe 4 on another course, whatever. You have so many times you have to pass the in banner before you can go in, and it counts as the lap. So for context for you guys listening, is this one was just really, really, really close to the in banner. So the first time you passed it, Dani, it had to have been like just one curve of the track.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, it was significantly quicker than DC's was. And again, Corey, Noah, you guys have done so many more of these races. I know they're set up different every single race, but just for context, and then I think they were longer than for the other ones.
Yeah, it probably did to make up for that distance.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I don't know if it was. I don't care.
It doesn't matter.
You're just running what it is. Yeah.
And then my second question I had works for the whole team is, when you are looking at your weekly mileage, do you include your compromised running mileage as part of your overall mileage?
Yeah, everything where I'm focused on just running is included in my weekly.
I thought I'd ask as somebody who might be listening outside of this podcast.
No, I track it. I track my compromised running on my watch GPS, because I always do my workouts. I mean, I do them outside. I don't know about you guys. I know you have the air runner in the gym, but I add it to my Strava, which you can't follow my Strava, but you can follow Corey's Strava. He's a club. Corey has a club on Strava. Yeah. How much running do you do in your compromised running workouts right now, Noah?
Well, I didn't have much going into Atlanta. It's really a big focus of mine going into Chicago over the next 6 weeks. But over the next 6 weeks, I will be doing probably somewhere in the neighborhood of about 4 to 5 miles a week.
Okay.
Of like intentionally compromised running. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. And I would assume for those listening or clients who do our HYROX program and the programming you've done for me, I'm assuming your compromised running workouts are kind of in some ways like HYROX-y conditioning mixed with, like sleds or wall balls or lunges or something quad burny mixed with running intervals. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I think tomorrow's compromised running is, I think it's like 4 or 5 rounds of a 1K and some type of squat like 50 reps of some type of squat variation. I can't remember.
You've given me this exact workout, Noah. I have a YouTube video, guys, we can watch, of me doing this exact workout. It was 50-pound goblet squats for like 20 reps and 1K runs for like 5 rounds or something like that. That was
it's almost exactly that. I can't remember it's the same structure. I think the specific squat might be a little different, but it's that.
Yeah, something similar like that. Okay, sweet. Well, I appreciate the beta, Noah. I need to text you and Corey about my plan for training. I know you're not coaching me, but I'm going to pseudo coach you, have you give me my game plan for the next 3 weeks. I was thinking about you yesterday on my run. I was like, I kind of want Noah's input on what I should do, because me and Corey are taking 2 very different approaches. But
I think for the last 10 minutes of this podcast, we should discuss our race together and how we need to train for it.
That would be
And
helpful.
with
Yeah.
5 of us just figure it out right here.
I was going to say, I was like, otherwise I'm just going to text Noah and be like, hey, it's been a
Yeah.
while. You're doing really well. And I think you can give me some good feedback. So we'll pivot to that at the end. Okay, awesome. Well, on that note, Corey, your turn. Tapping you
Yeah,
in, get the
so-
talking stick. Thanks,
Thank
Noah.
you. We had a great weekend as a gym. So we've talked about another podcast that Alyssa used to train with us at our physical location, Core Blend in Georgia. And now we just all work together online. So our Core Blend members, we had a little less than 100 people signed up for the race over the weekend. So it was a really, really exciting day / exhausting because we had people going as early as 8 a.m. and with 100 people pretty much all day long, there were constantly people out on the race course that we were cheering for and like encouraging. And like, just as like an owner and a coach, I tried to see as many people as possible. And I think I succeeded in seeing every single person either in the warm-up or during the race. Like I saw everybody.
I don't know how you did it, Corey. I don't know how you did it, but you did it.
Yeah, it was super tiring. And then me and Noah didn't start until 7:40. So it was just like a long day, but super rewarding. For those of you tracking, Trevor and his buddy did like a 107. They did awesome. Really good time. They did the open doubles. Jake and his partner did an awesome time of a 104. And I preface it with an awesome time because last week Jake got on here and Jake said some nonsense. Jake said some nonsense about, oh yeah, our goal is to do a sub 1 hour. We're gonna go break an hour. And I was like, really? Like Noah and Nick, the Division I football player, you guys are gonna do their time. He's like, yeah, that's what we're gonna. Yeah. And so I want to say Jake did awesome. They did a 104. That's a phenomenal time. They should be super happy. And also, Jake's not allowed to set goals for himself. Jake needs to turn to the rest of this group.
Remind me to tell you what the text he sent me and Carly immediately after the race. We'll save the Jake roasting for when he's either here or
was it a letter of resignation?
No, it was just him setting 2 very big goals simultaneously while also training for Worlds that I think are conflicting goals. I love you, Jake. I'm sorry.
Gosh. Yeah, and so that just goes to my point. Even coaches need coaches. And in this case, what Jake needed
Hey, that 52-year-old lady in my comments made me know that she'll send me a picture of her with her trophy, proving to me that you could be an athlete without a coach. And I said, good luck at the Olympics.
Most good people have coaches.
I know. I have 6.
Except for this woman, I guess.
Yeah.
So they crushed it. Me and my partner did awesome. We did a 113. Super pumped about it. Solid time. And then the other really big victory for the weekend was Mo and Val. So my wife and Noah's wife. I'm only introducing them that way because you guys know us. Yeah. They are their own people. They are not always introduced as my wife and Noah's wife.
It just gives context. For context, Val coached for TLM temporarily. Mo was on the back end of TLM things. She's just Corey's the face of our collaboration. Yeah. Mo is on the back end of the collaboration. They are their own people and awesome. Yes. Give that disclaimer. Yeah. Good job. Thank you.
I can be identified as Valerie's husband.
You could be. You could be Valerie's husband. That's new, Noah. So you get to be like my instead of my fiance, you get to now say like I'm Val's husband.
It's true. Take great pride in that.
They did awesome.
Yeah, they did.
They did really well. They did their first pro race together. They PR'd despite like a better time over their old open races, despite it being a pro race. And they went to bed Saturday night as the winner until Alyssa, Alyssa's BFF Rachel, who raced on Saturday and won the overall pro women, raced a second time Sunday morning and demolished them. So they won. Rachel, who went to high school with Alyssa, they won the overall time and also obviously the 16 to 29. So they got first place in 16 to 29, booting Mo and Val to second place on the podium. So like outside of that, which was like disappointing for them just because they're competitive and they wanted to win.
But hilarious considering the small proximity of the world.
Super, yeah. And also, you know this, Alyssa, your friend Rachel's so nice.
Oh, she's so nice.
She's so nice.
So for
like,
context, guys, this girl
Saturday
Rachel, me and her ran cross country together in high school. She was a better athlete in cross country. I sandbag cross country. I also ran cross country with her brother, and my brother was either in or at his wedding. Like, we grew up with these people, and then they're like, this girl podiumed, knocked us off the podium with the 101, and they were like, her name was Rachel. I was like, I know her. Corey met her. So sorry, guys.
Yeah, she was super nice.
Yeah, she's very nice.
They couldn't even be mad because like she was so friendly.
I forgot to send you guys the screenshots. I was DMing with Rachel, and she's like, they were so nice. Please tell them they did an amazing job. Like, they should be so proud of their time. They're so incredible. Like, she was just like hyping them up to me in my DM. So I should have sent you guys the screenshots.
Well,
yeah, she was like,
and it's true. Like, they posted a 105. That's a really
disgustingly good.
Like, they should be super pumped.
I'm going to put a small picture of Mo and Val, I said, as my wall ball target for all training moving forward, because it like truly inspired me. Like, when people are fitter than you, you can either let it make you feel bad about yourself and beat yourself up for it, or you can just be like inspired by like the fitness and the work it takes to get to that point. And like, that's how I felt watching the race and just watching them race, right? Like, and seeing that. So
yeah, they did.
It definitely inspired me for my race later. I think that was one of the pros of going later I mean, like, in almost every regard, I think it was a negative for me to race that late in the day, except for being able to see Valerie and Morgan crush their race.
Yeah.
It was freaking awesome. Easily the highlight of the weekend.
Even the team dynamic between them while racing was really cool to watch as well. I didn't get to see their whole race because we had to go eat. Just all of our races timing this weekend for people listening was like very weird with like nutrition and timing and eating. And Corey was the most selfless of us all. I think we all blew each other off to eat except for Corey.
Well, I also, like, me and my partner did not have aspirations of we're going to go break an hour.
Yeah.
And so for me, like, and my partner was like with me on it, like, the priority for me this weekend was not, I need to have a really good race. The priority for me this weekend was like, I need to be there for all of our athletes and like members that are competing. I need to be there for Mo and Val. I even want to be there for like Nick and Noah, like hyping them up. And then like you were racing at like low key the worst time.
I know.
Like,
and you stayed for the whole thing and you did not have to.
So, like, I would like under more optimal conditions, maybe we could have done like a 110. Like if me and my partner had everything go like perfectly that day, like I think I would rather have the memory of seeing everybody race than like, oh cool, you went from a 113 to a 110. Like it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
But like for you and Carly, like you guys had big goals for it. For Mo and Val, they had big goals for it. Like for Nick and Noah, they had a possibility that they could qualify for Worlds. Like they needed to go like sell out in that way.
Yeah. Do Mo and Val train together? I know like you guys are kind of split up on gyms now because like no one and Val are at North and you're and Mo are mostly at South, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Mo just has a weird schedule where Mo would love to say, I'm going to consistently train with Val. Mo would love to train consistently with anybody, just like not by herself. But her schedule, because of her role in the business, she gets pulled into other stuff really frequently. So she would be a terrible workout partner because she so frequently says, yep, today I'm going to lift at noon. Oh, wait, no, I'm actually going to be talking to the charter people from 11:30 until 1 p.m. Never mind, I can't do it. And that happens to her in a way that it really doesn't for other people.
Big mood there. Tell Mo I feel her on that.
Yes.
I feel like that's Carly just watching me in Slack being like, never mind kind of thing. And that's hard with training.
Yeah.
It's really hard. So
it is unpleasant.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody did great. My partner and I did absolutely demolish Nick and Noah on the ski and the sled. And I need everybody to know that. They did get us back though, and they buried us on the row. And I thought we had them. I thought we had them on the row. I felt good. I felt strong. I was flexing for the camera. I felt good on the row, and they smoked us.
What was y'all's time on the row, Corey?
What was yours?
It was 1 second faster than yours, I think.
That's all I know. That's all
Me too.
I want to say you did a 408 and we did a 409, but
That
it might have
checks
been a
out.
407 to a 408. But it was
Yeah.
1 second difference.
Yeah. Better
Just
luck next time, loser.
Yes, I'm embarrassed about it. Oh,
So
when
funny.
I think that's also like a 4 second total difference between us on the ski and sled versus you guys on the ski and sled.
They just ran a lot faster. So
Yes. Oh, and also the burpees. The burpees, y'all were faster than us. The lunges, it was like a significant.
No, what was your guys' average 1K time again? I know I asked you that this weekend. Did you say it was 4:30?
3:57, I think you said.
3:57. Never mind, 4:30. Okay, that's underselling you.
3:57. Yeah.
Oh, okay, fast.
Yeah.
When you're calculating that, so that's like the number that like HYROX would calculate for you based off the 8 1Ks. Allegedly, what you ought to do instead is take your run time and your rock zone time and then divide that number by 8.7. So like Alyssa, when you were talking earlier about like how to standardize it across different races, allegedly the 1Ks plus the rock zone total is always going to be 8.7.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if that's actually true, but listening to some of the like HYROX meeting stuff, because we're an affiliate and so we get like other meeting stuff, they try to standardize that piece of it. So if it might be a 950 meter lap you're running, but they will add those 50 meters plus the 0.7 in to the rock zone.
I have a question on that, Corey, then, because I lapped my watch way more evenly in my DC race when it was just me, but me and Carly, I don't know why this course, I just couldn't figure out, like, with it. Maybe I was just more aware of what I was doing because I had more time to think in doubles than I did solo. When you lap, if you will lap your watch, I don't know if you do or not. Do you lap it when you leave the out, or do you lap it when you cross the, like, sensor band for leaving the station? Do you know what I mean? In the end,
Yeah.
When do you lap?
I lap it leaving the out. So you're talking about, so there's sensor bands all over the place as they're tracking this event. And so there's one sensor band that tracks you as you like enter the rock zone, finishing the run. There's another one as you enter, let's say, the ski erg.
Okay.
And then there's one as you exit the ski erg. And then there's one as you enter back into the run.
So only lap at the end of the out banners.
That's all I do.
Okay. That's
And
what I did in
so,
DC.
like,
and then this race, I was like,
You could, if you don't mind lapping it extra times, you could lap it where you like had your rock zone separated. If you go to your like HYROX results, that's what they do. Like you can see every like in and out time, and it'll have like the differential between like you exited the run and then you entered the ski, and it'll be like on that race 4 seconds because it was so close.
Yeah.
So it has that data for you, but it's really just whatever you want. The only one that I'm concerned about is the run, because I want to know in general what pace I'm running at. Like that's the one that I want to know. So I lap that one so I can see my current lap time, and then as I'm running I can say, okay, I'm passing by the banner to turn in, it's been 2 minutes, I must not be done. Or I can look down and see it's been 5 minutes and go, I'm definitely done. And so, like, if it's a race where I'm getting tired, not sure what lap I'm on, I have that knowledge. And then I also try to find, like, a halfway point to say, okay, cool, I'm halfway around, and it's been 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay, cool, I'm right on track. I'm running at a decent pace, let me keep this up. Or I can look down and see that I'm at 2 minutes at the halfway point and go, that's too fast for me, I will have a heart attack. Or I'm at 2:55 and I'm like, oh man, I've been feeling bad for myself, I need to pick it up and make it up on the next station.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of do that to like give myself an idea.
Okay, yeah, because what I did, I think I was lapping more with me and Carly because I lapped at the out each time. Because Carly and me, when we were running, after the first in banner, I would always tell her, like, we're at 2:15 or 2:07 or whatever we were at. I don't know. We ran on average 5:15 1Ks throughout the whole thing, so that probably mathing with that. But I was also lapping it like after the station, and we were in the rock zone for like a minute before we got to the out banner for a lot of that race this weekend. That's what I paid it, because I was like, okay, that doesn't seem right to add that to my 1K time. That's a significant amount of extra time to be running. And that's, guys, for you guys listening, like, me and Carly ran in the rock zone. Everyone on our team runs in the rock zone. I did that on my thing. And like, if you're a slower racer and you want to walk, like, that's fine. You can walk in the rock zone. But if you're trying to bring your time down, like, that was a minute. Like, and if we walked that could have been a whole other extra minute of getting from the station to the running.
For sure.
Yeah, because I was like, wow, 1 minute is a long time to be running, like, before you're running, right? So we were running for like over 6 minutes at a time, right? Kind of getting in and out of that. So just context for you guys listening, and if you haven't raced yet or you kind of
that's
are
where
struggling
that
with it.
8.7 total comes in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the rock zone was at least smaller than DC, or equally as large as DC?
This event felt similar to DC to me. The layout was a little different.
Big rock zone then.
Yeah,
I would say it was at least the same size, if not maybe it felt a tiny bit bigger than DC.
Oh,
yeah.
Like, I felt like getting to that farmer's carry, I was like, that's far.
Yeah, it did.
I really felt like it's far.
Yeah, but allegedly with that, it should be that the total event is still the same distance when you factor in the length of the laps and the rock zone. Like,
Yeah.
And the first lap was,
Very short.
1 1/4 laps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember running to the farmer's carry in DC and being like, it's the whole way down there. All right, let's go. Because if you start walking, you're just like, nope, I'm not going to start running again. So you just got to keep running.
And give the listeners context who haven't done a HYROX, like, it evens out though, because the skis first, you hit the in banner,
like
and then you're right there. But then you're running longer getting out of the ski. But then by the time you get to like the farmer's carries, which is like the 6th event, you're right by the out banner by the time you get there. So you're running further to get to it, but then when you're done, you just literally leave right away. So that in and out time is essentially the same in total. Every event, you're just dividing it 10 and 90%, 20 and 80%, like, as you go. And even with, like, if you get certain lanes or ergs for each event, you're going to have to run further if your sled's further down, but then you're going to have shorter to run getting out, et cetera, et cetera. So everyone is running the same. But it does feel long when it is spread out versus being like more condensed. But then you're running less laps, and that's why everything's different. So just the biggest thing is because a lot of people got penalties this weekend. So for listeners, this is like great niche for you. And they were getting like 3 minutes added to their race time, all these penalties because they weren't paying attention to laps or laps of like farmers carries or sled. You guys did extra in DC, but like, cutting it short, things like that. I think a lot of runners were missing laps. That was a big thing this weekend. And the farmers carries, which the farmers carries here were 2 laps, and that's how DC was. So I just assumed it was 2 laps. But I saw a lot of people get penalties for that. So make sure if you do a HYROX, if you've done one, don't assume that your next event will be the same as your first one. And if you haven't done one, make sure you do know the layout. Order of events. A lot of people were going out of order because they weren't set up in order. And so make sure you do them like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if you're listening and you're like, I don't want to mess up my race, get a penalty, just like make sure you just review the layout in the numerical ordering and just can count. Like, if you can just count while you're running, which I know isn't always the easiest, or like know ahead of time what you need to do, go where you need to go next. And one thing I did too with Carly, because we did doubles and I did solo last time, so I was kind of responsible for myself, but I think a lot of people do doubles, is I was the faster runner. So on every second lap, I re-communicated with her, this is the station we're going to, I'm starting, here's the plan. Or this is the station we're going to, you're starting, here's the plan, this is what we're going to do. And like, I was the one who took on the burden of like pacing, thinking, talking, because I was the faster runner. If you're like Noah and his partner, that might just be something that you're kind of communicating together and dealing with, like sucking air, or you know what I mean? Like, that's something that I think was really helpful, especially in doubles, with me and Carly, especially for me, like just saying that out loud every time I felt like helped me tremendously. And I was kind of doing that myself, I think, in solo too, as well. I know I've only done 2 of these. I'm sharing my experience to the listener, guys. I'm not trying to be the expert here. Is I just on every second lap was like, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is where I'm going. This is the strategy that we talked about. Like, just kind of reminding myself of what I was doing going into like each station. So the thought was already like pre-thought for me. And I find that helped a lot. But if you just know the event and what you're kind of needing to do at each station, so you don't accidentally do stations like 7 then 6, or accidentally skip 6 because it's in the corner, or things like that. Everyone's shaking. I don't know if anyone has anything to add.
Well, I almost added probably a good like 25 meters to our farmer's carry, because when I went in and started the first lap, I didn't see that the turnaround point was actually like, you run under a huge like little air banner thing. And so I didn't notice that the turn was before that. So you can actually see in one of our videos, you see Corey be like, turn here, because I was going to try and add. So yeah, that is a great tip. Make sure you don't add an extra sled or add an extra 50 feet to your farmer's carry by, not saying that I didn't know it, but like, don't get so lost into the event or the race that you don't remember what you're doing.
It does help.
Yeah.
If you can spectate an event, I think, go ahead, Noah.
It can be pretty easy to miss that, to mess that up. I've only done. I mean, people do it all the time. Nick almost did it with our sled. He was like, "This is our last sled, right?" I'm like, nope, the sled's got to end down there where we started. Otherwise, we're going to be the only ones here. No, we have to go back.
Yeah.
He almost went in early on one of the laps too, and I was like, nope, we got to do another one. So like, super easy to mess that up.
Yeah, because you're just in the zone, so it's completely understandable. Like those sled pulls, we were like, "This is going so well," and then it was like, something's wrong."
Yeah, I feel like I counted out loud to me and Carly. I was like, "That was one, that was two," because it is so. And that's like, this isn't us judging people who got penalties or messed up, because it was so many people that that it was like not just someone being ignorant and dumb. Like it was very, very common this weekend. I don't know if that's every race, but I know they kept making announcements. Like I saw them like being like, "Hey guys, this is like people are getting penalties."
Wow.
I just remember seeing a lot about penalties this weekend. So just, if you're listening and if you get 3 minutes added to your time, unless you're like Noah, like that would have really hurt Noah, right? But like me and Carly or me and Corey, like that's whatever. Like that was like not a huge deal for like if that affected our time or things like that. But watch a race if you can first. I think that's really helpful. Was like if you see people race before you go, even if it's not your own race, just go scope out the event and seeing. I think that helps. Unless you're 8 a.m. like Trevor on day one in DC, and then you're doing it for everyone else.
Luckily, he had done a few, so.
Yeah. Well, I guess on that note, because we're 40 minutes in, we'll pivot to me and Carly's race, and then chat New York strategy. Beyond the text messages for everyone else here. So me and Carly did doubles at ATL Atlanta this weekend. I did solo in DC. Carly did double in DC. So this was both of our second race. We did podcast previewing, recapping those races as well if you guys want like all the HYROX beta. And I also have now this HYROX blueprint that, or HYROX accelerator. Sorry, I can't remember the gimmicky terminology I came up for it, that Corey and I put together for you all, talking about like pacing and strategy and station by station strategy for the events and like training considerations. So if you're like you're ready to dive into the HYROX rabbit hole, we'll link that in the show notes here on YouTube or the podcast as well. But me and Carly both had like two different experiences coming into this. And that also kind of influenced our approach for the day. So if you listen to the first episode, this will be redundant, but the summary of me and Carly's plans for this weekend was Carly wanted to see what would happen if she could run faster. I'm a faster runner than Carly. Me and Carly have made sure that she doesn't feel bad when I say that. Like there's no hurt feelings there with that. But that meant that I could take on more of the events, or I could push Carly if needed with her running and keep her on pace for her goal. And we kind of hit your goal spot on, right? Like you wanted to do like a 5:15, 5:20, 1K, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah, basically my goal was like if we could get between a 5:15 and 5:20, that would be like my A goal. And then when we were walking into the race, I said to you, I was like, if I could average like a 9-minute mile or less, I'd be really happy. I was like, but if I could get closer to like an 8:20, 8:30 minute mile, I was like, I would be so happy. And that's exactly what we did. Our average was like a 5:12 1K. And that ends up being like an 8:22 minute mile.
Yeah.
Which to like hoot you or hype you, that's a hoot Carly, that is like a whole minute faster than we averaged for our doubles. And that was, you put in that work to get that speed, and like I think you really got to see that you have that dog in you. I don't know what is happening with my terminology.
I got the dog right there. That's the dog
Yeah.
inside me. That's the dog inside me. No, Carly crushed it. I mean, I didn't go into this weekend thinking that was Carly's goal. I thought like an 8:30 to 9-minute mile was Carly's goal. So I was like kind of going into it being a little arrogant to me, where I was like, oh, this is going to be like a walk in the park, not to like suppress that pace or make anyone feel bad. But I ran like 4:48, 4:49, 1Ks in my solo race. So like that would have been about a minute different. So I was like, oh, like I'm going to feel really, really, really good just by contrast. But actually I felt like that wasn't, that what with doing more of the events and us running, there was a few times where I'm like, Carly, I can't talk right now. I was like, I can run this pace, my legs are fine, but like I needed a second to just like regroup after, especially sled pull and burpee. So we'll backtrack on that. That was our strategy going into it. That was the approach. Carly did like 3 weeks of specific like high end speed training we talked about in the previous podcast, and that was like perfect, right? Like that was exactly what she needed to bridge her fitness. You're not going to gain a ton of fitness in 3 weeks. Although I feel like both of us really improved a lot from DC. Like I feel like that was the fastest 3 weeks of progress I've ever seen myself make in my fitness, and you did it too. So
yeah, I totally agree.
Something in that TLM water that happened in these last few weeks. But I think it's probably just the momentum of the block build going into DC that we kind of gained momentum on going into that. I don't think it was 3 weeks of better training that you gained fitness on, but I think it was just refinement of the fitness we both had going into DC specifically. But the way me and Carly approached our splitting and strategy was essentially, I'm the stronger runner. I also could do all the events on my own if needed. But like we were going to obviously split them, but we wanted to save Carly to run. So we decided to split them either 60-40 or like 70-80-ish, depending on some of the other events, just based off of like what was harder for Carly in DC. Or there was a few times we regrouped on the run for a few of them. So ski, we did 150, 150, 150, 150, whatever. And then I did the last 100. Our ski time was pretty abysmal. I'm pretty slow. Carly and me are both really short. We weren't expecting anything heroic on ski. I feel like I pushed really hard on ski for not having a good ski time. Like I was really trying my 5-1 best on that. How did you feel in ski? I feel like you took ski really easy.
Yeah, my goal for ski, because in DC I came out so hot. I'm short, and like all my training paces for skiing efforts were like 2:15 to like 2:20, and I was like treating it like a sprint and averaged like a 2:01 pace, and which really, like, how much did that really save me off my total time? But it killed me in the next run. So I went into my first ski being like, I'm going to pace this so slow, almost like a zone 2 effort, like just like purely keeping like catching my maybe like high zone 2 low zone 3. I was like, I purely want to be able to breathe easy throughout the entire ski so that I had energy going into the second run.
Do you remember what your pace was on ski?
It was like a 2:20, like 2:22, I think.
Okay, and I think I was doing like a 2:12, 2:15. So that makes sense. But I was like pushing harder intentionally because I knew that like I could recover a little bit on the run compared to my ski. So then we got into sleds, and sleds we split. I started for sled push and sled pull, did a half. I think I actually did like a little more than a half because I would go into the sled was right in front of that halfway point line for you. That's what I did. I never vocalized that to you, but I was like, I could just do that extra like foot or so. So I did like slightly over half, and then you would do the second half. And we did that, for those listening, the first 3 laps. And you have 4 laps of sled push and sled pull total. And then I took the entire final lap, just me. And I did it for sled push. I took a 2-second breather break on it because I knew I was going right into running. Sled pull, I don't think I took a break. And that kind of made me feel really bad afterwards. Sled pull is very hard. I think pull is hard. I think I had a nutrition mistake. And on my vlog that would be coming out for this, guys, I kind of documented how we ate going into it. The only nutrition mistake I made was I should have drank more electrolytes before the race. I think my blood pressure was low because ski, pull, and burpees, I felt really lightheaded. And I thought it was sugar and carbs, but I felt fine otherwise. So I wasn't bonking. I think my blood pressure was dropping. So I think I needed more salt. That would be the response there on that. So I think sleds move fine for us. I think we were in and out of sleds like fairly quick-ish, give or take. I don't know how our time was compared to everyone else, but I felt like we were steady on the sleds. Running, coming out of those, I think we were just pretty consistent on the running. Like running never at any point in time. We were pretty consistent on that. Burpees, I think we split burpees where I kind of went for like, I think 6 to 8 at a time. And then how many do you think, did you do 4 or 5?
I did 4 to 5. I think the last set of burpees I did, I think I looked back at you and you're like, do 2 more. And I knew exactly what you were doing because I was like, okay, I'm going to do 2 more and then she's going to finish out this length. Like I knew I was at the halfway on that last length and I'm like, she wants to do the rest of these. So she just wants 2 more to get us halfway and then she's going to finish them out.
And burpees was tricky for that because you just don't know how far you're going to go, guys, with burpee broad jumps. And we did it by number, but you just don't know, like, it's 80 meters, right, of burpee broad jumps in total. And so, like, it's not like you're saying, oh, go 10 meters because, like, who the hell knows what 10 meters are when you're racing? So I think we did, like, 6 to 8. I did just depending on the in-between ones, just depending on like where we were at in the distance. Like I think when I finished up the lane 1 and I just did a couple extra because I was like, well, I'll finish it up. And then we started the second one and that's where I think you started. And then we got to about halfway and I told Carly, it's like, yeah, that's right. I totally forgot to do that. Do 2 more because I knew that I could finish and she needed me to finish. And it was a weird distance. Like the switching off of me going for like 2 and then her doing 4 and then me finishing would have been more time and energy, honestly, than me just like saying, hey, do 2 more because you're going to get recovery and I'll just finish this out. I felt way better on burpee broad jumps than my DC performance. I didn't step in and out of them. I just did them as burpees and broad jumps. But between Noah and Corey's programming, I have been hammering burpees a ton, just so much burpees. And then going into New York, which we'll talk about here in a second, and coming out of DC, I feel like I could have touched a sled. I just didn't touch a sled. My lifts have been great, but I didn't touch a sled because I was like, I can move those in doubles. That's fine. I had been dialing down on burpees, lunges, and wall balls because I knew those were things that I could help Carly with and I can help Corey with. So I like doubled down on that in my training while increasing my running volume. So I was like going into burpees, wanting to see what happens if I actually consistently like push in the burpees. So yeah, I totally forgot that we midway like did that, and I'm glad you knew what I meant when you did it because I was like, I just need her to do 2 more because I knew if I took it up at that point and finished it, it would have been too much for me. But then even coming out of burpees, I had to go, Carly, we need to like give me 3 seconds. But I felt lightheaded, not slow. But I was like, I need like 3 seconds to just like regroup. And then row, we just were terrible at. I did 600, she did 400. It was slowest sin. We're not going to talk about row. Corey, next time I come to the gym, we'll make a YouTube video of Mo teaching me how to row because there's got to be something I can do besides gain 50 pounds on getting better at row or 5 feet.
Have you tried getting taller?
You know, I had Regis watch me row a few months ago when I first started HYROX programming, and I said, can you please tell me what I can do? And he's like, have you tried getting taller? I mean,
good advice.
I don't think my row form is perfect, but I think it's pretty like good considering that I don't have like formal training history. I drive through my legs. You know, I do a low cadence. I try to push. It's I don't know. I guess I just need to be taller. So that was slow. And I didn't even try to make up time in the row. I let myself fully recover on the row. I treated the row at the same effort that I did in my solo race, which is maybe not the best for doubles. But I knew lunges and wall balls, I could send it for me and Carly. And I knew that, and she needed to push the runs at the end. So I was like, I'm going to just like kind of recover here on this because I'm not going to make up that much more time. And I was sitting and I was having trouble with my breathing in the event center. It was really dry. I had a lot of trouble with that this weekend. So then I want to say after the row, we ran pretty steady, but we didn't push it. And we went into the farmer's carries, and that's where Carly started. Because I said, I want you to start and go as far as you want to go. And then I'll finish it and we can go right into the run. So instead of me starting and stopping and having 2 trade-offs, because I think me and Carly could both do farmer's carries unbroken theoretically if we needed to. That's not a hard event for either of us. So I just let her start and I was like, you just do a lap or whatever you don't want to do. And then she's like, okay, then don't walk so fast that I have to run to keep up with you. So she could recover. And then after farmer's carries, I like kind of told her, I was like, push on the run a little bit because I can take as many lunges as we need. And I don't think you push super hard to be faster in that 1K, but I think that you would have maybe slowed down a little bit without that reassurance. I was like, we have 2 runs left, Carly. Like we only have 2 runs left, like hold steady. Cause I remember, I think you were starting to feel a little bit more towards that I could just tell your body language started to be a little more like, okay, I'm getting tired at the end of the race. You weren't doing bad, but I could just tell that you were like, okay, like I'm ready to pull back. And then, lunges, I feel like we split pretty good. I want to say we split those like 60,
I did
40?
I was gonna say I think I did 10 or 12 and then I handed off to you, and then same thing, you kind of just took that last length. Like once, I think you probably did more towards the second half just because you were like, same thing. We were like at the end, trading off would have cost us more time, and you wanted me to recover going into the last run.
Yeah, and I wanted to push the lunges. I wanted to see, because I paused on every rep in DC, and I think that Corey called me out on it. He's like, you can lunge continuously, more or less. Like, you can lunge a lot faster. And I did lunge a lot faster. I felt a lot better at that. I wanted to see that. So I felt like we did pretty good with the lunges there. And then that's where that last lap, I was like, I need just 1 second. And I actually went into that lap telling Carly, I was like, I need you to start wall balls. I was like, because I finished like 3/4 of a lap of lunges. So I was like, I need you to like, but you instead you were like, I need a half a lap to run slow right here. So we ran a little bit slow on that half lap, and I recovered because we pulled back a little bit there. And I immediately pivoted our plan, and I said, no, it's time to push Carly. I was like, the whole race, Carly asked me to stay behind her, next to her. And on that last lap and a half, I just got in front of her and I said, we're going, Carly. Like, we are going, we're pushing, we're weaving in and out, we're going. And I didn't really communicate this well with you, but I just went to wall balls and sent it. Cause I was like, she just ran her hardest 1K. We're almost done. Went into wall balls. I was like, this is my time to shine, because I've been training for this. I was training wall balls because I was doing wall balls 3 times a week going into Atlanta. I was training so hard to do this, and I did 50 unbroken wall balls, and that's the thing that I'm the most proud about the entire day is my 50 unbroken wall balls. And then Carly,
I was watching you, and I was just like, my heart rate was so recovered. I was like, she's going. And I had no idea how many you were doing.
Neither did I. I didn't know either. I was going to go to 30, and then once I got to 30 and I felt fine, I was like, I want to show myself that I can do 50. So for context, I only have a 16-pound wall ball at home, and I've been doing that for 30 sets of 30, either after my leg day or like before and after conditioning or part of my conditioning. Just every week it changes where it's at, just depending on what I'm doing. And I've been trying to do consistently no less than 20, but like sets of 30 at a time. And 16 pounds is a lot heavier than 8 pounds. Like, that's double the weight math. So I wanted to see with that what I could do. Because Corey, how much was our ball gonna weigh?
Like 14.
Okay, so yeah. So I've been really training for that.
Yeah.
And at that point, I tapped out because I was like, I want to let Carly go for as much as she can, because I know I can finish up whatever she doesn't want to do. So I know I just steamrolled through our whole step by step. Is there anything that you want to add? I'm just trying to be cognizant of listener time.
Yeah, no, I think like my biggest takeaway was what a different race it can be when you actually like follow a plan. And I mean, and when I say that, I think it's important to be flexible. But I went in knowing that I wanted to push hard but sustainable efforts, and knowing that I needed to not redline the events. And so I was really, really diligent about pacing those events so that I could optimize recovery during the events. And I feel like I did really well doing that, because if you actually look at our splits, we're about average in the events. You know, we're like right in the middle of in terms of average times. But in all the running, we're like top 25%, top 15%. You know, we really pushed the running, and that was the goal. So it was cool to see that data support exactly what we wanted to do. And I think we had really good communication throughout the entire race, which enabled me to just lock in and focus on what I wanted to do, but also have confidence of, like you said, this is what we're doing. I'm starting the event, you're finishing it, and then making little adjustments, while we're going. I remember during the ski, you were like, only do 100 here instead of 150. And then you finished up, I think it was 150 or 200 in the last little bit. So I think we were really good in that. And it just enabled me to race, to not really think of anything else but my race, and really kind of buckling down.
Yeah, and for the people listening, this isn't I'm so much better and fitter than Carly type things. It's just that, like, she and I are probably even on events for a lot of things. Carly's just as strong as I am in many ways, but she wanted to run, and I wanted her. And that, I mean, HYROX is running, race, and event, right? And if that's what she needed to be able to do to prioritize running, I met her where we were at. But then, like, my biggest priority was, like, I want Carly to have a good race, and that to be what she came to do. Actually, when my blood pressure was dropping and I felt a little woozy, I was like, oh my God, I hope I didn't go too hard and ruin Carly's race for her, because I'm like lightheaded. I was like, what? But I felt fine. I kind of swung back up after, I think it was this going down with my head on the skis and then pulling with the rope and then the burpees. That's why I think it was blood pressure. But after that, I was like, okay, we're good. We're not going upside down anymore for the rest of this race. We are fine. I was so worried I was going to ruin your day. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to feel so bad. But Carly did really, really good. It was fun. Like doing doubles was a lot of fun. I don't know if it's fun if you're pushing at Noah's extent or Mo or Val's extent. I don't know if it's as fun as it is like it hurts, but it was fun to, I don't know, if you've ever been an athlete, I feel like that was fun to like gamify it with someone else instead of like, I always train alone. I always race alone. I literally do everything alone since I left Core Blend. And that, like, I know how to be alone and in my head and lock in, but it was fun to like, I didn't feel nervous. I didn't feel underprepared. Honestly, me and Carly barely warmed up. We got to the event center late. It was so chaotic. We rolled up out of bed. We didn't barely warmed up and we just showed up. But I think that helped us have a good race because we didn't overthink it. We weren't over prepared. We just were like, okay, and we're going. We were like,
Trevor came into the warm up area and sat in between us, and we both rode for like not even 90 seconds. He's like, you guys ready? And we're like, yeah.
I did some pogo hops and I called it a day. The only complaint I have about Atlanta, and I don't know if the guys race was like this compared to DC versus solo versus doubles. And this is just a nice ask for everyone listening to this podcast. Please only use the passing lane to pass. Please run in the outside lane. I was overstimulated by how much I was having to stop to make sure I wasn't tripping over someone, running into someone, getting in someone's way, being sandwiched between people, trying to get around people so I got out of the way of people faster than us passing. Like, I felt like it was like really hard to navigate running. Not saying we would have gone significantly faster. Like, we're elite athletes, you're away. It's not that, because, you know, you should go in and out. But like, this is just like my gentle, generous PSA is like, if you're passing, pass. If you're coming out of the tunnel or you're going in and out, or like just that they have a pretty wide place to run on the outside kind of thing. And like, no one's too good to run on that outside lane. But I felt like I was just in a mob of people. And like being stepped on or like almost tripping on people. And I was trying to just like make sure me and Carly were next to each other. I don't know. It was very overwhelming for me. Maybe that's just how doubles is, or there's a lot of women who do women's doubles versus, I don't know if men have the same numbers. I feel like there's a lot of women out there versus solo, but I don't know. That's like my gentle PSA is like, no one's too good to run on the outside lane. And if you have to pass, absolutely. Kind of thing.
DC like, people were I felt more aware of where they were running. And I really do feel like DC was very different in that aspect because, you know, we did, and again, not to pay shame, like I ran a whole minute slower in DC, but it was really, it like expended both physical and mental energy not to trip over people. I mean, like really, it was like I was trying not to flat tire the person in front of me, but then I was trying to capitalize on passing because I know people are coming up behind me, but then people cut in front, you know, so it was very, I feel like, you know, again, yes, it would not have like shaved numerous minutes off of our time, but, you know, I do think like there was at least a minute, 90 seconds there where we were kind of like stuck and couldn't keep going forward.
And I also at one point had to communicate with Carly. I was like, I don't feel bad. I'm focused on not tripping. Like I was just so focused on not running into people or tripping or having them run into me that I couldn't like talk and communicate or focus on running. I was just like trying to not hurt anyone or anything like that. So this is more of like just a cautionary thing. It's not like I'm better than anyone or faster, slower guys. If anyone's listening to this, ready to cancel me for this, it's just like pass in the pass lane, run in the run lane, especially in doubles when you're like two stacking and you're blocking the whole passing lane. Like that's what I saw the most of. And I was like, I can't get around you and I don't want to be rude, but also like I'm going to flat tire the person behind me if I don't keep going. So there's my PSA. Don't cancel me for saying that. Do you have anything else on our race?
No, I'm really proud of it. And it was cool coming off of it, feeling like I pushed really hard, but knowing that I probably had like a little bit more to give too, which kind of, you know, I'm not disappointed in myself for not giving extra, but it kind of like leaves me optimistic too for future races.
Yeah. So for guys, you didn't listen. We did like a 1:17.12 if for women's open. So nothing heroic, but good for us. And we felt really good about it, kind of thing. And there's room for improvement, but that's our second race for both of us. So I think we're learning a lot here. And now we have to get ready for New York. We'll do a formal New York preview for New York as well with me and Corey and Carly and Dani. But yeah, I think this is good, Corey, to talk about race pivoting and strategy because I think people want to hear that. And we can also just double dip our time here on figuring this out as a team.
You ready to do it now?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so I think what you and Carly did, we should do, but inverted.
That's exactly what I said to Carly.
The first three events.
Yeah.
So, like, I'll ski the first 150, you go 150. We'll do that back and forth, and then I'll do the last 100. And that's less of a fitness thing and more just my easy slow pace on the ski will be like a 145.
Like 30 seconds faster than me.
Yeah. So just more time of me doing it. Where honestly, I could even go longer and do a 2-minute pace. The kind of catch-22 on it all is me getting real tired and then us going for a run hurts me and helps you, and you don't really need the help because you're a good runner. So I think our basic strategy, and I'm open to you disagreeing and us working it out, is I think the whole event for me is I need to do more of the ski, I need to do more of the sled push, I need to do more of the sled pull, and I then need to hold on that next run. So pace through, run our 445-ish pace, get through those 3 events, you come out and run, because you're going to feel pretty good at that point. You'll have done 3 runs starting your 4th. You'll feel pretty good because the only reason you weren't doing more of those 3 previous events is because they're so weight-based. You run, and I'll just kind of stay behind you going to the burpees, and I'll just have it in my head is like, once we get to the burpees, I get a break. Because you can get us to the burpees, and then you can do more there. And so I think when I'm training, I think I need to think of it as like, I need to ski and recover, I need to sled push and recover, sled pull and recover, and then I'm going to get a break at the burpees. And that's kind of my, like, hit the pause button on my heart rate spot.
Yeah.
Does that sound reasonable?
It does sound reasonable. And I think, like, as much as I'm like, sled pushes won't be as hard on me as pulls, it still doesn't make sense for me to take on any more there than necessary because you're substantially stronger than me and bigger than me, right? Like, that's
so it's you going up a weight class and me going down a weight class.
Yes.
For that sled push and sled pull.
Yes. And so I think that's good. And, like, honestly, me and Corey have kind of readjusted our run pacing, guys. For context, Corey, and me were kind of talking about being realistic. If we can run faster than that, that's fine. But 445s is kind of our, like, realistic goal. I ran like 447, 450s in my solo. He ran 515s with his buddy this weekend. I think that's like our realistic pace. If we can surprise ourselves and run faster that day, great. But I think that that's realistic enough that with me having rest, I mean, like, that shouldn't be, I'll have to be pushing, right? Like I was in my solo. But that shouldn't be unrealistic, right? Like, I don't feel nervous about, I don't want to say I don't need to train to be able to do that, but I feel like my fitness is there now. So the biggest thing is just being able, I can ramp up the lunges, burpees, wall balls because that's where I think we've talked about, me and Corey have talked about offline, is I can do more of that. And it doesn't hurt, like, our size and weight difference doesn't hurt us as much there.
I think the row, I think I start and do 600 or 650 and just do a nice easier recovery pace and then catch my breath. You finish it and go shorter. But I think that you finishing it, even if it's not a 5-5 even split, is really hard. So I think you finishing the row, even if it's 400 meters, I think that's the same thing as splitting it evenly, because I think it's so hard to get off the row and start running.
Yeah.
I think it's much easier for me to get in there and start it and do 600 meters, 650, something like that. And then you being forced to finish it, I think is really hard. Farmer's carry, I think is kind of a joke. So even with my buddy, when we did pro doubles, I did the farmer's carry just unbroken by myself.
Yeah.
Just because it doesn't matter. And that was at a heavier weight. So I can do that again. And then lunges, I'll just be so tired by that point. But it still makes sense for me to do more lunges if you're going to kick ass on the wall balls. So I think something like,
fingers crossed, I can hold my training.
Yeah. But even like, if I do like 20 meters on the lunges, you do 30, and I do the last 50. Or
yeah.
Like, I do 20 meters, you do 40, and then I do the last 40 or something like that. I think something like that is reasonable. And then I can basically sell out on that set of lunges, let my legs be dead, and then just kind of like we do post sled pull. You start running, and you know that you're running into the wall balls, and I'll just run and know, hey, it's the last run. I need to hold on for another 4.5 minutes. And then once I get to the wall balls, it'll be heavier for you. Like you probably won't be able to do 50 unbroken at that point. But if you can give me 25, I will recover enough.
I was going to say, 25. I don't see why I shouldn't be able to do at least 20, 25, 30 if I'm maybe a freak in 4 weeks.
If you can give me that, I'll be feeling great. And then once I get to the wall balls, I should be able to give you a big chunk where you can then finish it.
Yeah.
Like if you give me, as long as you give me 20, I should feel good enough at that point to give a big number where you're resting for a minute and a half, 2 minutes while I'm going.
Yeah. And for those of you listening for the context, I go up to the women's pro weights and Corey goes down to the men's open weights for this. And it's different than like women's doubles where like Carly and me are going to be a lot more physiologically on par with each other. Like no matter how hard I train, I'm not going to be as fit as Corey. Objectively, we've talked about this. He's a much bigger, stronger being, right? Like, and he's just, that is. Sex differences in physiology, right? So even if I am fitter on some of these things, my job there is to just like step in for Corey to recover. So then he can kind of do more work and be able to run fast. Like that's our strategy there. And most mixed doubles partners, the men's doing more. It just, if you're trying to do like a time that you're competing
with each other. It just makes sense.
Yeah, it just makes sense. Like it is what it is. It's just strategy. So what do we think that I need to be focusing on training on the most? And to give context, going into Atlanta, I did 3 weeks of I did 2 weeks of a run where it was like 20 minutes easy, 5 by 1K with a 2-minute rest. And then the week going into Atlanta, I kind of adjusted that a little bit to pull back intensity, but I did 3 weeks of 1K tempo mixed into like a 6-mile run. Do you think I should go back to shorter distance stuff for a few weeks? Or do you think I should stick with tempo, effort going into New York?
I like it what you've been doing.
Okay. I was going to say that workout, it's not broke and I don't think I need to fix it. I'm the approach of like, we don't need to change our speed workout every single week. It's not broken. Let's not fix it. It's still challenging for me. So I think 5 by 1K with the 2-minute rest is still a pretty good workout for me. But I was wondering, because I don't think doing faster stuff is going to be my issue going into to New York. We're running mostly the pace I ran in DC. I need to hold that repeatedly, right?
Yes. Yeah. And then like attacking the events harder. Because part of it'll be with you skiing less and sled pushing less and sled pulling less than you did in Atlanta. The catch will be you need to do it harder. Like your 20-second effort of sled pulling needs to be at a higher intensity.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
So where you attack that harder.
And I'll make my workouts be specifically dialed into that. Like I won't do more than like 200 to 400 on row. I'll make short all out burst in my sled. I'm going to add push and pull back in. I have to going into our race. I'll do everything in shorts, hard. And that's good because that's an area of fitness I lack is that high end work capacity. Yeah. I lack that. So that's good.
Well, and that's where you and Noah honestly, in a lot of ways, could train kind of similarly because Noah's alluding to it earlier. Noah's biggest like strength as an athlete is that if he's doing a long race, he's going to be at 95% of his peak the entire time. And so rather than try to like work on his like grit and grind and get him to like 96% of that peak, it is easier for us to just raise that ceiling where if Noah's running, in that race, 357 repeats, if Noah was doing that in a workout fresh, he'd probably do like 345. Like it wouldn't be that different. So getting him to do like more high end power stuff for doubles and then more like hardcore speed work where he has like a greater overall potential because we know that he's good at tapping into so much of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, me and Noah's training is pretty similar right now, actually. Ironically, I've been doing Tuesday is a double day of either, or let me backtrack. Monday, I've been doing a longer-ish easy run coming off the weekend, so not resting, but I do like maybe 6 to 7 miles is what I've been doing. Tuesday is my double hard day, so lower full squat in tempo or a hard Metcon-y, HYROX-y type workout. My rest day is either Wednesday or Thursday, depending on what I need it. And then the other one of those days is either the tempo intervals or the HYROX workout, just depending on how the week goes with setting those up, keeping the high and hard intensity. I like the tempo on my full body day, though, like kind of what Noah does as well. And then Fridays, deadlifts, full body again, easy run, long run, and then another cardio HYROX workout. And then I just top upper body there wherever it fits otherwise and throughout the week because that's not important. So I'll just dial in those HYROX workouts, and which is usually compromised running. I'll keep that with being running with like short all out burst of sled push, sled pull, wall balls, lunges, things like that. So I can push those events. I can't ski, Corey, sorry, but I can row.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Plug on this though. Me and Corey put up a fantastic video on how to ski and ski tips and form that is not doing well on YouTube. It is flopping, and I keep changing the title and the thumbnails, guys. I know it's 30 minutes of me and Corey talking, but it's a fantastic tutorial. So if you can, please go watch and engage with that video because we put a lot of time and effort into it. And it's actually very, very, very informative, but it's not 15 seconds of clickbait, so you don't want to watch it. So I'm calling you out on your short attention spans to go give me and Corey's video some love. It's so good. It's really good. That's my rant. So, okay, that sounds good. I'm actually going to go eat lunch after this call and train, so.
Yeah, so like I was saying, the ski is really important. It's really technical. And if you haven't watched a 30-minute video about it, you absolutely should. And that's what I was trying to express earlier when I said the ski didn't matter that much.
Yeah.
I meant for me.
I will say though, okay, ski and row, when we say it doesn't matter for HYROX, and we mean it doesn't matter in the context of that's where you're not making up your overall time. I'm not form shaming anyone, but I saw some very inefficient row and ski forms this weekend. And if you are very inefficient on that, you will waste energy or it will slow you down. And that's where you can make or break significant amount of time. My form for ski and row is probably 80-90% of the way there. Like we've addressed time and time again, I just can't generate enough force and power output with my size versus if you're doing wide arms on the ski, jumping up and down, or not pulling hard, then you might shave off significant amount of times in your ski.
So like for context, what I mean when I say that the ski and row aren't that important is the extra immense effort to do your fastest pace there is a bad idea. So like my 1K row PR is below 3 minutes. It's like a 2:59 point something. I would never do that pace in a race. But because I have that like high end ability, I'm going to slow way down to like a 1:55 pace, and I'm going to feel like $1 million in New York. Like when I do that 1:55 pace, that represents like that's essentially my 5K pace. Like it's a really easy pace for me that I can just recover from and feel great and then hop off. And so that's where I mean, like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's not worth it to go faster on. It is worth it, absolutely, to get better at those things where it actually can be a recovery station for you and a weapon you use throughout the rest of the event.
Yes. Good distinction. Because I do think that that's a good distinction here, because I do know some people or clients who reach out to us like really struggle with their row form and things like that. And that's where it's like, yeah, learn to row. Morgan, Corey's wife, or Morgan's husband is Corey, has a really excellent YouTube video on how to row. If you need help with that, it's on their Core Blend YouTube as well, which you should subscribe to as well, because they put out some pretty good content there too. Shameless plug to everyone here. So, okay. Well, I think this was a good recap on everything. I know this is getting long, so we can cut this off because listeners don't want to hear us talk for 2 hours, although I think we have amazing advice and tips. But if you want more from us, join the list method. We will put our HYROX accelerator link below. But if you are interested in training for HYROX, you want this kind of expert insight on coaching and tips and advice. Honestly, we didn't talk about it here. We should have been talking about the multiple clients we had running and racing their first HYROXs this weekend, crushing it, already coming back to us with goals and game plans that we're helping them navigate and figuring out for their next races. We can do that for you. So reach out to us, hello@thelistmethod.com, or just head to thelistmethod.com and hop in a program. But if you're more than 12 weeks out, do not wait to train for a race to only 12 weeks out for anything, guys. Anything. Sign up well before your goal race if you do not have a fitness baseline or you haven't been doing things specifically. It will make a monumental difference. So if you know you want to do a HYROX, it doesn't have to be within the next 12 weeks. We can get you in some of our other programs and help you start developing these characteristics of fitness, because guess what? We all have these baselines. That means that we get to gamify training now and make it a little bit more fun and specific. But if you don't have that baseline, like, you kind of just have to like hold on and get to the event and then hold on during the event. You can have a lot more fun. Like, we have a client right now. She wants to do amazing, like 50 years old. She raced this weekend. She only get trained for like 6 weeks. It was kind of a last minute pivot, and she knows that she needs to improve on running to go into it, but she has a goal of cutting 30 minutes off. And that's realistic actually for her where she's at with what she did this weekend. And we are going to like help her figure out what to do with that. We had a client who did her solos in DC with us. And we're like, okay, like now that you're not training, like let's look at your HYROX results and figure out what you need to work on in the off season. Like time and space and fitness allow you to do so much more. So keep that in mind. So reach out to us, sign up, hop in the app. We are happy to help you with all of that in the groups or direct messaging and all of that stuff. So thank you guys for tuning in again to another episode of the Hybrid Lab with the TLM team. Thank you to our coaches. Thank you, Noah, who just hopped out here. And we will catch you guys again with our New York preview and or recap. Maybe maybe we will do a preview. I don't know if we'll do a preview or not since we kind of covered it in this one. We'll see because I'm traveling the week before the race to New York City, but we'll see what me and Corey have time for. But otherwise, if you enjoyed this, like, subscribe, comment, and share with your friends, tag us, and otherwise we'll catch you on the next one. Okay.